What is happening these days risks opening a new wound, as if the Church were not already immersed in a profound crisis. The priestly fraternity of St. Pius X has announced that on July 1st, 2026, it will proceed with the consecration of new bishops without papal mandate. This is not an improvised rush forward, nor a symbolic provocation. It is a formal decision, taken collegially, made public, and justified as necessary for the survival of the ministry and for the good of souls. In a time when everything is relativized, this choice is striking precisely because it is clear, irreversible, and fraught with consequences. According to the fraternity, the path that led to this announcement was long and marked by attempts at dialogue. The previous August, the Superior General, Davide Pagliarani, had requested an audience with the pontiff to filially present the situation of the fraternity and the need to ensure continuity of the episcopate, considering the advanced age of the bishops currently in office and the worldwide expansion of communities linked to tradition. This request was followed by official letters, culminating in a response from the Holy See, which, according to the Society, did not address the issues raised in detail. This is where the story becomes delicate. It's not an explicit no, but a response deemed insufficient, incapable of offering a concrete solution. For the fraternity, this operational silence amounts to a de facto refusal, especially given the pastoral urgency claimed. Hence the decision to proceed, accompanied, however, by a further declaration that immediately took on the value of an escalation. Pagliarani's expressed desire to personally meet Pope Leo XIV before July 1st, to explain his intentions and reaffirm his attachment to the Catholic Church. This final opening did not go unnoticed. To some, it appeared as a sincere gesture, to others, as a tactical move, to still others, as a disguised ultimatum. In any case, it places the Pope at the center of the scene and makes a purely bureaucratic management of the situation impossible. The issue is no longer confined to a dicastery or to confidential correspondence. It has become public, media-related, ecclesial, in the broadest sense. The reaction from the traditional Catholic world was immediate, but far from unified. The fracture that emerged is profound and significant. On the one hand, Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano expressed full and unambiguous support for the Society's decision. According to Vigano, the announcement of the consecrations would demonstrate the impossibility of a real dialogue with Rome and would expose a double standard that is now structural. On the one hand, doctrinal, synodal, and even openly heterodox deviations are tolerated. On the other, any room for maneuver is denied. To a fraternity that claims the immutability of tradition. In this reading, the appeal to the state of necessity would not be a pretext, but the only way left when authority becomes complicit in the internal demolition of the Church. On the opposite side is the position of Marian Eleganti, who defined the announced act as objectively schismatic. Eleganti recalls the jurisdictional primacy of the Pope, dogmatized by the First Vatican Council, and maintains that no historical emergency can justify an episcopal consecration without papal consent. His position insists on a key point. Visible and canonical unity is not optional, nor can it be suspended in the name of subjective assessments of the Church's crisis. Here, disobedience would not be virtuous resistance, but a breakdown in ecclesial order. This clash of interpretations reveals that the issue goes far beyond the society of St. Pius X. It touches the very heart of contemporary ecclesiology, what happens when authority is perceived as inconsistent. What is the limit of obedience when it seems to conflict with what has always been taught and practiced? These are questions that the post-conciliar era left unanswered and that forcefully resurface today. The most explosive point of the entire affair is the comparison with China. The Sino-Vatican Agreement of 2018, renewed several times even under Leo XIV, has become the implicit yardstick for any discussion of the legitimacy of consecrations without a mandate. In China, the Communist Party imposed bishops without papal approval, violating the agreement itself. Yet, Rome chose to retroactively recognize those bishops without speaking of a schism and without applying definitive sanctions. This fact, which is not opinion, but documented fact, undermines the Holy See's disciplinary coherence. For many observers, this is where the schism argument loses its force. If illicit consecrations promoted by an atheist regime hostile to the Church are tolerated and even normalized for diplomatic reasons, then the severity shown towards a Catholic fraternity appears selective. It is this accusation of double standards that makes the situation potentially devastating in terms of credibility. Meanwhile, the reaction on social media and in Catholic media has taken on a tone that is surprising in its harshness. Even before a bishop is consecrated, there is already talk of a consummated schism, of inevitable excommunications, of a clean break. Some public voices have evoked historical precedents without taking into account the differences in context, while a section of the laity seems to express a real punitive expectation. This climate has struck many observers, who see in it not so much zeal for the unity of the Church, but rather a desire to eliminate an inconvenient presence. Adding to the tension, there have been rumors regarding a possible shortlist of names and the number of bishops who could be consecrated. If confirmed, these rumors would suggest a broad operation designed to ensure structural continuity rather than a mere symbolic gesture. This makes a stopgap solution increasingly unlikely and increases the pressure on Rome. Yet, the Holy See remains silent, a silence that carries as much weight as an official statement. Every day that passes without a clear position reinforces the idea that the Vatican faces a dilemma with no easy way out. A harsh intervention would risk solidifying accusations of hypocrisy and further fueling the critical front. Failure to intervene could be interpreted as a tacit admission of impotence or double standards. At this point, July 1st, 2026 no longer appears as just another date. It looms as a historic watershed. Whatever Rome's choice, it will be interpreted as a judgment not only on the society of St. Pius X, but on the Church's very ability to govern a crisis that has lasted over half a century. What is at stake is not only the canonical regularity of certain consecrations, but also the coherence of authority, the credibility of discipline, and the possibility of still speaking of unity without falling into arbitrariness. What do you think? If you liked the video, comment Amen. God bless you.